Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, Unite is the biggest union in the country with 1.4 million members, and we often end up talking about it on this programme because, as well as being a powerful voice for its members, it also given millions to the Labour Party and has an influential role in the running of the party. The current General Secretary is McCluskey. He's been in the job since 2011 and has been a key supporter of Jeremy Corbyn. Well, he's up for re-election, but he's not going to go unchallenged. Here's one of those hoping to win, Unite Regional Secretary for the West Midlands, Coyne, launching his campaign.
I think the time is right for some change, and I think this time is right for change in our union. It's not about the leadership that we've had thus far, although I do think that Unite has become too much of a political commentator and not actually focusing on the direct concerns of our membership. Because I do know that for you, actually the difficulties you face in the world of work have got more and more intense.
And Coyne joins us now. You've said that you want to get away from the political game playing in Westminster. What did you mean by that?
I think it's very clear. I want to focus on the job that is a critical one for our members in the times ahead, in making sure that they're protected, that they're supported in the workplace and that their terms and conditions are improved, rather than focusing on Westminster politics.
But you are happy, obviously, to campaign on broader political issues. For example, before Theresa May's Lancaster House speech, you were calling on her to take a very firm stance on freedom of movement. Why is that important to your members?
Because actually the next 2 years are going to be arguably the most difficult for our members since the Second World War, and actually the implications of Brexit I think we have to face up to now and prepare our membership for those changes that actually are going to be very difficult in terms of adjusting to the world post-Brexit.
Right, but what does that mean in terms of freedom of movement? What would you like to see?
What I think we have to do is make sure that we're investing in skills in the UK, because quite clearly employers for a long time have taken skills down off the shelf when they've faced deficits in their workforce, rather than investing in either the long-term unemployed or people in their existing workforce. So there's a need here to focus on some critical issues, including investment as well, because I don't think we've
But you haven't answered my question
that.
about freedom of movement. I mean, do you, for instance, support the target that's set by Theresa May, by the government, in terms of bringing net migration down to tens of thousands?
I think the reality is that we have to face up to what the British public voted for in the referendum, and they have said very clearly that migration is an issue. Now, if that means then, as a result of the process we're going through, that we're no longer going to be in the single European market, then we have to prepare for that.
Right. What about your view on transport strikes? As you know, there have been a number of strikes across a number of industries, but let's take the example of the strikes on Southern Rail Network. Would you condemn those strikes or support them?
I'm a trade union leader. I would support those strikes. I believe in the right of people to take industrial action. I think it's a fundamental democratic right, and of course I would support that.
Right, and you would continue to do so, even if, as the management claims, they have answered some of the concerns raised by the trade unions?
Well, it's quite interesting in that particular example. The management has been described as somewhat shambolic in terms of the oversight of the whole of the service. In my view, workers don't take strike action very lightly. It actually is a decision that they have to think long and hard about, because it means losing pay. And in the reality of trying to solve a dispute, unfortunately strike action event is really the last resort. And so to be in this situation, I think in terms of the action they've taken, it's very clear that the responsibility rests with the management here.
What about civil nuclear power? What did you think when you saw Jeremy Corbyn in an interview last week, unable to give his support to a proposed new nuclear power plant at Moorside in Cumbria?
I absolutely support our membership in the energy sector. I think we need a balanced energy response, and that includes civil nuclear. I think that in some of the issues that we've already been talking about, for example, around Hinkley Point, one of the critical issues there is the skills infrastructure to support that development. So there is
But what did you think about Jeremy Corbyn's response? That's what I asked you in the interview, when he was unable to give his backing to that plant.
I'm clear, I support the provision of nuclear.
Right, so it concerns you then, his position?
What concerns me is that our members need to feel that they are supported in the work that they're doing, because it is very valued to our energy provision for the future. So actually that's the most important thing for me, not the position of the leader of the Labour Party.
Right, except there is a close connection between the Union and the Labour Party. I mean, in this case, why is it that your campaign is being seen as a proxy war between the centrist wing of the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn's side?
I don't believe it is a proxy war. I'm standing to change.
I'm saying, why do you think it's being seen that way?
I think you'd probably be better asking that question of Len McCluskey in terms of the political arena in which Unite has operated. I'm very clear, I want to move away from that. I'm more West Midlands than Westminster, and what I want to do is make sure that our members get the sort of service that they deserve, that we are a union that's fit for the 21st century, and that we change the organisation for the better.
Right. Do you see it as a proxy war between the two sides in the Labour Party?
I don't. No, I see it as a selection to see who's the best person to lead a major trade union. A very important job at a difficult time for trade unions.
Right, but then why is Momentum, the grassroots group that has grown up supporting Jeremy Corbyn, putting so much effort into backing Len McCluskey?
I don't know, Joe, you'd have to ask them. But none of us should underestimate the importance of the job of leading a major trade union like Unite. It's a tough time for the Labour movement, and I think Unite members will want to look very carefully at what the different arguments that are being made and make a choice about who they think is the best person to lead their trade union in the future.
How would you describe the role of Unite in terms of its relationship with the Labour Party?
I think it's a very important relationship
Right.
between the Labour Party and the trade union movement. I'm actually very proud of that link. I think it's served us well over many, many years. There's been a few ups and downs over the years, but I think the trade union movement provide an incredibly important voice within the movement, and it hasn't always been perhaps as close as it might have been. But I think the relationship with Unite is a hugely important one. So members of Unite should, I think, be mindful of that in the decision that they make.
Right, and on that, there is a close relationship. You can't get away from Westminster in that sense. The Labour Party, just outlined here by Dan Jarvis, has a very close relationship with Unite.
I don't doubt for 1 minute that working people and Unite members do better under a Labour government. Absolutely clear about that. But it's about the focus that I bring in leadership. I'm not about being the puppet master for the leader of the Labour Party.
Like
I
view.
want to get on with the priority of focusing on our members in what is going to be a really turbulent time ahead.
Right, and the way to do that, as you have implied, is by some sort of relationship and support in the Labour Party. I mean, Unite will still be affiliated to the Labour Party, I presume. If you win the election, you would still have delegates at party conference, representatives on the ruling National Executive Committee. Isn't that true?
Of course that's the case, yes.
Right, so the links will still be very enmeshed, rightly or wrongly. You will not be able to get away from that, will you?
You won't get away from that, but it's the focus I bring and what I want to do as the leader of Britain's biggest trade union, and actually making sure that every day when I focus on that, it's not about parliamentary politics, it's about what is better for my members and better for working people.
In the end, you're not going to win though, are you? Looking at the figures, 15% of members voted last time in total, and 2/3 of those voted for Len McCluskey.
Well, actually, 1 in 10 voted for Len McCluskey, so I do believe I can win. The reality is that this is wide open as an election. There is a very clear message that I'm portraying about the focus that I want to bring to the job and the difference that I will provide. So yes, I do believe I can win.
And how would you get on with Jeremy Corbyn?
Jeremy Corbyn's the leader of the Labour Party. It's as simple as that.
Right, but beyond that, how would you get on with him? How would you build relations with Jeremy Corbyn?
My job is not to be focused on the leader of the Labour Party. That is exactly why I'm standing. My job is to be focused on the 1.4 million members that pay my wages.
Gerald Coyne, thank you very much, and we'll have all the candidates on the programme.
I've been